Journey Obstructed Views, the show where a couple of guys in a couple of countries drink a couple of beers and discuss a stadium somewhere in the world and their experiences there. I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.
We're excited to be here with you tonight. Before we get started on our topic, please make sure to subscribe to the Stadium Journey YouTube channel, like this video, and feel free to leave some comments. The official Stadium Journey review of today's venue can be found at stadiumjourney.com, or shortcut, the link can be found in the comments below. So let's get started. Dave, what are you drinking tonight?
Okay, so I don't know if I planned this, but I planned this. This is the perfect beer outside of something that was produced in Philadelphia for this episode. So on my way to the cottage, if you go one way, you go through a town called Caledon. And in Caledon, there is a brewery called Good Lot Farmstead Brewing. It's really small brewery. And I got, actually, this is a Paul Baker beer. It's not a Pilsner. It's a Pilsner. Pilsner beer from the Good Lot Brewery, Good Lot Farmstead Brewery. And you know what? It's very Labatt Blue-like. It, light, simple, and right up your alley, Paul.
You're right. I do like Labatt Blue, and you got to love those cans. Which just no fancy can. We're a real small brewery, no fancy can. We're just gonna pop a sticker on this can, and that tells you what kind of beer we've got.
Funny enough, it's way easier to find Labatt's Blue down there than it is up here now.
Is it an American beer now?
It might be, but I see it at arenas all over the place. Buffalo is huge. Labatt's Blue might be the biggest Buffalo beer going, but I never see it up here anymore. And I can't remember the last time I saw a Labatt's Blue commercial. Woo.
That's funny. That is really funny.
The
craft brewery scene is just taking over everything. Okay, so let's see. I am returning to a favorite local brewery, Buzzards Bay Brewing, right here in Westport, Mass. And I have, and excuse me if I mangle the pronunciation, the Hawes Piper Lager. It is a Pennekeys Pilsner. So, and what is a Pennekeys Pilsner, you may ask? Well, I had to look this up. Pennekeys is not anything European or had not even anything to do with beer or brewing. Pennekeys Island is a small, teeny tiny island. I think they said it was 75 acres that sits in the middle of Buzzards Bay here in Massachusetts. So they named the style of beer after that little island. I don't even know if they get any hops from there or anything. I wouldn't think they do. So it's just kind of making it seem local, I guess. And
it sounds like an extinct bird to me.
Yeah, I had no idea. I was thinking, what is Pennekeys? Is Pennick or a little county in the Czech Republic or something like that? But no, it's an island in Buzzards Bay, Massachusetts. So there you go, folks. Hawes Piper Lager. Again, yeah, right up my alley. Good stuff. If we were visiting today's destination, we might be drinking a beer that would not be right up my alley, a Man Full of Trouble Mocha from Dock Street Brewery in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, because today we're talking about the Wells Fargo Center, the home of the Philadelphia Flyers. Before we dive in, let's take a look at the Stadium Vitals. Okay, so we're going to start our conversation about the Wells Fargo Center right where Dave expected me to start it off. Where do you expect me? Well, we're Stadium Journey. And Philadelphia has kind of a unique stadium setup, I think, among all cities in North America. I can't think off the top of my head of another city that's got all its major venues in one space.
Kansas City would be close.
Not with the basketball hockey arenas.
Well, they don't have a basketball or hockey team, so
well, even when they did, those were located somewhere else.
Yeah.
So yeah, in Philly, you've got the baseball stadium here. You got the football stadium about here. You got the hockey and basketball stadium here. You even got the old Spectrum sitting right here in the middle of them all. And even the ones before that,
not anymore.
Even the one, well, it's now called something else. We'll get into that. But even the old one, like the old Kennedy football stadium, was somewhere.
Yeah, it was over there. The vet.
I think it's on the site of where the Wells Fargo Center is now. But anyway, everything's in one place.
Mm-hmm.
In your opinion, Dave, as a much more seasoned stadium journeyer than I,
Ooh.
is this a good thing or a bad thing in your opinion?
Uh, I mean, I'm okay with it. You are much you say I'm more seasoned. You are much more of the surrounding neighborhood kind of guy than I am. I am more
True,
than
true.
happy to buzz in, game, and buzz out. And I,
Boy, that
I
sounded Canadian.
yeah,
Bazoo.
I'm not huge on, standing in line to get to a bar or a restaurant or whatever. And that's a whole nother set of planning to search those places out, whatever. And I really struggle with that part. So I'm more than happy to just, drop in and fly out. Now,
Okay.
those places come with a whole different set of issues, right? And it's not, I mean,
Right.
Philadelphia has them all in one place. But I mean, let's face it, it's not unlike Buffalo or Kansas City or any place else where your stadium is outside of the downtown, outside of any real community, right? So it's in Philadelphia, it's the South Philadelphia Wells Fargo complex, because now Wells Fargo sponsors the whole lot, apparently.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
And there's a casino there now too. I didn't
there
know
is a
that either.
casino. You said the Spectrum. The Spectrum's gone. They tore it down, and it's now the
Xfinity
Xfinity
Live.
Live. And those things you can go to kind of all the time, but
Right.
there's not much else going on if there's no games happening, right? So traffic becomes a little bit bigger issue in these places.
Yes.
Hershey, when we talked about Hershey, it's uh, limited ways in, limited
Yeah.
ways out.
I like to call those kind of setups captive parking because you've got no options. You have
Yep,
to park where we tell you have to park. And
yep,
yeah, that
pretty
was going to
much.
be one of my negatives is that getting in is never a problem. Getting out is where you bottleneck and where it can take a long time to get out of those parking lots.
Yeah. Now, some people have really hate going there. I haven't had too big a problem getting out. Um,
I
having
did
been there
once.
fairly recently, like just this past March break, and I've never been for football, and that to me that would probably be the ultimate, where you get 60,000 people or 65,000, 70,000, however many.
I don't remember it
That
being
they
that
want.
bad for football.
Um, Maybe there's just extra support or whatever. I think it
I went
also helps if you're going the correct way. If you get out, because if you go on Broad Street and you want to go the opposite way, you got to do a hairpin UE to get back
yeah.
going the other way. Because
Sometimes I think it's the luck of the draw, and if you happen to park in a good spot, you get out quickly. And if you happen to park in
yeah,
an unlucky spot, it can take you a whole lot longer.
yep. And I would say my experience with the parking, like parking for the Flyers, it wasn't spectacular price wise, but it wasn't like you've seen those $75, $95 for like the Cowboys or the Washington Commanders, back in the day, where it's really, really captive. So I haven't, like, I paid $30 to park, which, like I said, not terrific, but it's not the worst going.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that sort of area as a journey person, and maybe you do this too, and we're maybe a little crazy. We would drive out of our way to go, like, oh well, there's no football game that I'm going to in Philadelphia, but I really want to see that where the stadium is, so I'll just drive by it. Well, that's
Yeah.
way the heck out. No, you don't have to do that. You could walk right up to it if you want. You could walk right up to the baseball stadium if you want.
Oh, I
So,
have actually walked inside of more empty stadiums than I could keep track of.
college stadiums are great for that. You could just walk right
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I agree. I don't dislike the setup. I think it's kind of neat, and I'm surprised that more cities haven't done that because it really kind of takes that land grab, to take Boston, for instance, trying to find a place to put Foxborough Stadium. Any of you who are Patriots fans, and watching the hoops and the hurdles that Bob Kraft had to jump over to find a place to put a stadium before ultimately saying, screw it, I'm going to put it back in Foxborough. you got the land, you've got the spot, and so when you need to build new ones, they do what they do. They just kind of shuffle the spots around, and they got all the new ones in the same place as the old ones. So that's good. The two downsides, real downsides for me, for the complex, are the getting out of the parking lots, and the fact that if you want to not sit in your car for an hour while you're waiting to get out of the parking lots, there's nowhere to really go to. Well, let's go get a bite to eat after the game while the traffic thins out. One
Let's
of my
go
favorite
to
things to
Xfinity
do.
Live or Xfinity Live.
Yeah. Has Xfinity Live actually become something? My last trip there was actually only like 3 years ago, and there was nothing there.
Been.
There was like one bar there, and it like I don't want to go here. This is a place for 20-year-olds to go, not for
I can't say that I went
like
there.
us.
I would think. I don't think it is like. I know outside of Arlington they have like a big kind of neighborhood, like a Patriot Place kind of thing where you have a number of different things. I don't think it's like that. I don't think it's designed like that. I don't think it's as big as that.
Xfinity Live is not a big place at all.
Yeah,
it would be like more like a Ballpark Village in St. Louis is what I was thinking of.
Okay.
Only not as nice.
Yeah, I can't say I spent any time. Oh, it's over there. I see it.
I think I peeked inside it one time.
There. That's that place that Dan's always complaining about. Got it. Done. That was it for me.
Yeah. So those would be my complaints. But the facility itself, let's go inside the Wells Fargo Center. Why don't we? And the first thing that I think of, it's pretty big.
Yeah. I don't know when the last time you went was. Of course,
I just looked it up and forgot.
I just went, and they've done a big reno. 2020, they started a really huge reno. They took every seat out of the place. They revamped the concessions.
Did they put in seats for fat guys, or they just put in smaller ones like Boston tried to do a few years ago?
They put in nice, comfortable seats.
Wow, it's been that long since I've been there. 2017. That can't be right.
There you go. No, found the seats very comfortable. Actually met Dan. We went down for lacrosse the next day after I went to the Flyers game. We both sat, big guys, very comfortable, much better. He's more the expert, much better than the seats that they had before. So definite step up. It's almost a whole new building. The exterior doesn't look that much different. The exterior's, it's okay. It's not ugly. It's not gorgeous.
It's utilitarian would be my word for it, because it's in a complex, so you can't do the fancy landscaping or everything else because it's just parking lots there.
Yep. There's historically, there's a nice statue of Ed Snyder there, who is really the father of the Flyers. And I think it's fair to say they've struggled since his passing. They've
no doubt
really had a difficult time kind of finding their way. But inside, wow, they've really done a number. And I can't say enough about how they have upgraded the concession scene there.
Nice.
I would have said, the concessions there, your typical like Aramark.
Yep. Ballpark Dreck, as our colleague Andrew Kulik would say.
Now, wow.
Yeah.
I had an Italian pork, which might be the same as roast pork, but I don't really know. It was excellent. They got cheesesteaks there that are not what was there before.
Would you get a cheesesteak at a hockey game though if you're in Philadelphia?
Would I get? You know what?
Tony Luke's is not far away,
I'm
sure there's a lot of other places.
I would consider now.
Okay.
With their new upgraded scenes, big, huge slices of sort of New York style pizza. It was a bit of a decision as to what to get. And that was a very pleasant surprise for me.
Nice. One of my favorite concessions is located at the Wells Fargo Center. Okay. The Chicky and Pete's crab fries.
Okay. We had a guy who wrote for Stadium Journey years ago, who was kind of the Philly guy, and he just swore by Chickies and Pete's. And the first time I went to Philly, I was like, okay, I got to do this. Took my kids. We actually went to Chickies and Pete's, and I went.
Which is not far from the complex.
No. Yeah, no, it was very close. It's like, this is what the big
No, it's just the
I could
fries. I don't like any of the other stuff. Sorry,
and
chickies and
that's
peas.
all that's all we had was the fries. And I was like, oh, these are just
Uh,
really salty. So I couldn't get
yeah,
I
I
didn't
can see
really
that.
dig Chickies and Pete's, but
The other thing I did at Wells Fargo Center one time, I got Pam tickets for her birthday one year. We went down to Philly, spent the weekend, and with my tickets came a private brunch on the club level.
wow.
And so we walked in, and they were playing the Bruins. So we walked in our Bruins gear, not even know it. But they treated us fantastic. The menu was like a full brunch, not a buffet, but a full brunch menu with mimosas and everything. And
Hmm,
what an unusual and fantastic way to spend before a Saturday or Sunday afternoon game.
awesome. That's
Something I've
neat.
never experienced anywhere else. It was pretty cool.
That's neat. One of the highlights I would say in the concourse, and I guess in the last, say, 10 years, they have created the Flyers Hall of Fame.
Nice.
And, you know, inside, it's like you're seeing this now in a lot of places. You got like levels of legacy, let's say. So, kind of at the top level, you would have the retired numbers. And you got your Eric Lindros and Ed Snyder, and you got Mark Howe and Bobby Clark and Bill Barber and like that.
Some legendary names in hockey history.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if it's required that they're all in the Hall of Fame, but I think they're all in the Hall of Fame. Then kind of your next level, you have like the Flyers Hall of Fame. So you got guys like Reggie Leach, who's
Yep.
in there.
John LeClaire,
John LeClaire.
Ron Hextall.
Yeah, guys like that.
Yep.
Which, okay, they're not at the retired number level, but they've had a significant Flyers career
Yes.
and are recognized in that. Well, in the concourse, there is a really nice display, almost Hall of Fame like they have a little bust, not huge like you would see in Canton for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but just a little one. And they got 2 or 3 or whatever in these big display cases, which is really for someone like me who likes to float around and see what there is, to get a real feel for the team and whatnot. That was kind of a bonus.
I like how you described yourself in our last show, a treasure hunter.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of. I would say probably the other big thing that changed is the video board. And they got one of these humongo video boards. So with the the concave sides, the shorter ends. But one of the things that and I haven't seen this anywhere else, they have you get a lot of places that have the ribbon, right? So they have the main board, and then you got like a ribbon underneath. Well, they have a ribbon, and it's not necessarily always underneath. The ribbon travels. It could go up to the top, or it could go down to the bottom. And when it goes down to the bottom of the pregame and whatnot, they shoot fire. But I've never seen a part where it would go up and down kind of like that. So I thought that was
interesting. I can't imagine. I can't picture that in my mind. It's pretty cool. So let's discuss what some people would figure or would say would be the main drawback of going to a game in Philadelphia, and that's the Flyers fans themselves. Is their reputation justified? Is it deserved, or is it overblown like so many other things?
Well, you and I are very different if we're going to a game. I mean, you often will go and see your team.
Oh, I've been there 6 times. I think I've seen the Bruins twice. So not true. Ideally, yeah, I'll see the Bruins. If not, I'll catch who I can catch when I'm in town.
I would rather not see my team. Okay, because I really go in with the mentality that I want to cheer for the home team. It's more fun. I can divest myself of how much I hate that team normally for that 3-hour period or whatever. I'm good for that. If you are decked out in the wrong gear, I think it could be a problem for you, especially if it's like Rangers gear.
Rangers gear,
right?
Yes.
Maybe
or Penguins gear.
Or Penguins gear, exactly. I think the very first time I went, I took my daughter. She was really little, and being in Kitchener, We like the Kitchener Rangers. So my daughter was being goofy and she was like, let's go Rangers. And I'm like, you're going to get us killed. But I think it's kind of overblown. If you are, I think you're more apt to get like a sharp retort if you're doing something that someone doesn't like.
Yeah. I think like anywhere else, if you're being a jerk, they're going to treat you like a jerk. If you're just enjoying the game and not causing trouble, you may get a wisecrack or two, but no one's going to mess with you.
I've talked to plenty of people in Philly at various things who have been very friendly and no problems. No problems.
Yeah, I've gone in dressed head to toe in Bruins gear and I've never had a problem. And I'm not that big a guy where people are going to be scared of me, but it's you get what you give. If you're going to be well, I don't want to swear, but if you're going to be a jerk, you're going to be a jerk, you're going to hear it. If you're going to be friendly, you're going to get friendliness back. So I would say definitely overblown as well.
So there's one thing at Wells Fargo Center. It's brand new. I want to get your thoughts on it. At the very top on, I think it's the north end, there is a sports book. This is, to me, this is like new territory. This trip, went to Cleveland first. There's a sports book that just opened in Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. There's a sports book at the very top of the Wells Fargo Center. What do you think of that?
That's a new thing you're seeing pop up more and more places as gambling has become more accepted. And it's, we're always talking about how are these teams going to find new streams of revenue? I think they found it in gambling. They got a cut. There's been a sports book in Gillette Stadium for quite a long time. I haven't seen one in the other Boston venues, but they're coming. I'm not a gambler myself. I work too hard for my money, and even giving up a $20 bill, it makes my hand shake like this, So not a fan, but I can see why they're there. And if the teams are going to make money and it's going to keep the other prices down, if it's going to keep ticket prices down so I can get there, go ahead, let the other people blow their damn money.
Well, and it's part of this trend too. And we see it a lot in baseball. I know here we've seen it in Toronto, just very, very recently, where they take probably like the worst place for seats in the joint and they turn it into like a social area, or in this case, a sports book, and you can walk around a big bar and whatnot.
Yep.
And people will flock to there, which is great if you can make it work from the team perspective. I don't understand why anybody will want to go way up there
to spend more money.
Whatever, but whatever. So it's interesting. Like, we've seen this in baseball. I've seen it in a number of places, and now they're bringing it right into the arena. And I'm like, wow, is this? I don't know what I think about this. I don't know what I think about like that marriage so close with gambling.
Well, I don't want to start talking about other venues that I've seen on our Wells Fargo edition, but I've seen it work very well in other places. So I haven't been to Philly. I'm surprised to know it's been 6 years since I've been to a Flyers game. So I'll have to go experience in person before I can really comment more. But it's got like we just said, different revenue streams. How are we going to keep the fans invested? How are we going to keep the newer fans engaged? And this is the way to do it. The days of someone coming in, sitting quietly in their seat all day with their hands folded. And, remember the old-timey pictures? When you see the old-timey pictures, people aren't wearing team gear. They're wearing their suit, their Sunday best. And, those days are gone. So how are you going to get those new people in? How are you going to keep your venue modern? And Wells Fargo Center is now, coming up on 30 years, if not already 30 years old.
Oh, doesn't that make you feel old?
I am so old that I actually saw an AHL All-Star game there.
Wow.
So that was 1999.
Wow.
So I've been going to the Wells Fargo Center for a long time. It was the Wachovia Center back then, I think.
The first time I went, it was the Wachovia Center. It was originally, think about this. It's had 4 names.
Really?
All the same company. It was first the Core State Center, then it was the First Union Center, then it was the Wachovia Center.
That's right, the FU Center.
The Wells Fargo Center, and they're all the same bank.
That's funny. How appropriate was the FU Center for the city of Philadelphia, right?
Sure felt like it, didn't it? One other thing I think that kind of sticks out And maybe this is more a discussion that fits better if we were talking about the Sixers. But wow, you can almost feel like that's two different things going. There's a lot. It just felt like there's a lot more Flyers going on than there is Sixers. And they have, like bubble hockey, and they have other kind of stuff like that.
Do the Flyers own the building?
Sorry?
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Do the Flyers own the building?
The building is owned by Comcast Spectacor, who
So
owns the Flyers.
Yeah. So the Flyers own the building.
So yeah, it's and actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, Ed Snyder built that with private money. He raised the money himself, and there was no public money put into the Core State Center originally. But you could feel they're not necessarily on the same page.
No, not at all. And every once in a while there's rumors, and I think there was just recently rumors of the Sixers building something downtown.
Yeah.
I don't know where you could put something in downtown Philadelphia, but
I don't know.
That's a story for another episode of Obstructed Views.
Probably.
So does that conclude our look at the Wells Fargo Center? Honestly, before we wrap it up, I wouldn't say one of my favorite, but I really enjoy it. The passionate atmosphere you get there from the Flyers fans, it's hard to replicate that in a lot of buildings. I really enjoy going to Philly, even when I'm in the black and gold instead of the orange and black. So that's our look at Wells Fargo Center, home of the Philadelphia Flyers. Thanks for joining us this evening, and we look forward to seeing you on the road again real soon. Cheers.
Cheers.